The story begins with Chihiro, who has lived with Kotsu and the latter's father since he was a boy. Kotsu's father owns a dojo in hopes that one day, an expert will take over from him as an instructor. Chihiro is skilled in the art of dojo and has been unbeaten by Kotsu for a long time. Chihiro and Kotsu attend the same college. When they arrive at school, they meet with their friends to discuss lunch plans when, suddenly, a blaring sound goes off everywhere and people begin to fall. Red mist covers the whole city, making everyone fall unconscious. Chihiro sees himself in a strange place, with unexplainable scenarios surrounding him. Chihiro wakes up in the university hospital. The doctor informs him that most people woke up within a week of the Great Collapse, but he has been asleep for 5 months. Chihiro could not recount his dreams when the doctor pressed him for them, but could remember his name and what happened before he fell unconscious. The doctor opened the window blinds to reveal the aftermath of the Great Fog. A part of the city is still covered in a red mist, and strange giant plants are crawling around all the city buildings. Kotsu comes to the hospital to take Chihiro home. Outside the hospital, a journalist, Kakihara, and his assistant Tsubasa harass Chihiro for the details of why he took longer to wake up and threatened to expose Chihiro's secret from 13 years ago. When they arrived home, the blaring sound began again. This time, Chihiro sees the strange man and lady behind the sound in the streets. Kotsu's father turns into a beast and tries to attack them. Chihiro's eyes become blazing red as he moves to fight the beast. Parts of Chihiro's body sprout into weapons that are blazing red. In quick moves, he uses the weapons to cut down the beast. Chihiro regains himself and is remorseful for killing his foster father. He collapses from using too much power, and Aiko, a girl from his class, rushes to catch him. Not long after, security personnel arrive at the scene amidst the destroyed gates and settling dust. Aiko and Kotsu deny seeing a monster. The officer reveals that there has been a report of humans turning into monsters and 10,000 people vanished after the Great Collapse with no explanation. When the officers leave, Kotsu confronts Aiko about the situation since she knows something. But Aiko insists it is not the right time. The following day, she begs Chihiro to remember his identity because it is essential to save the situation. At school, Chihiro excuses himself to the restroom, where Yuri appears again with a blaring sound. Chihiro follows her to seek an explanation and sees people turning into monsters at the sound. He desperately begs her to stop, but she refuses. Aiko arrives with Kotsu and begs Chihiro again to release the sleeping vessel of heroic blood in his body to conquer the monsters. Still, Chihiro refuses because he is tired of killing people he cares about. The strange man named Jun joins the Lady Yuri, and together they sound the alarm again, which turns more people into monsters, closing in to attack Chihiro. Just then, Kotsu reveals himself as one of the vessels of heroic blood descendants and begins to fight the monsters. Chihiro screams horror as a monster hits Kotsu, sending him to the floor. Yuri and Jun are determined to end Chihiro and send another monster after him. Aiko continues to prompt Chihiro to remember his identity. Aiko tells Chihiro to call her by her real name as the strange man reawakens the monster to come after them. Chihiro calls her Surdid, and she transforms into her vessel of heroic blood form and fights alongside him. Kakihara and Tsubasa arrive to capture the event for the news, and Chihiro's waves also activate Tsubasa's heroic blood form. Yuri and Jun have one goal: to attack the members of the descendants of the heroic blood till they are all dead. After the incident, they all ask Surdid to answer the situation, and she invites them to the Maldeus Church, the sacred stronghold of the heroic lineage, for answers. There, they meet with Dux, the clan leader, whom Chihiro has previously seen in his dreams. She tells them that 40 years from now, the world will be destroyed and can only be restored by hope from their lineage or chaos from the Science Clan, which Yuri and Jun represent. Dux instructs them to destroy the city because the humans are the gate through which the chaos monsters possess the world. Each clan thinks the other's view will be wrong for the world, which is why the Chaos people are out to destroy the heroic lineage. Surdid and Arrow are called back from the Great Beyond to take over Aiko and Tsubasa's bodies to fight alongside other descendants of the heroic blood. While explaining the mission, Chihiro falls into another vision where Dux tells him that the evil stench around him will continually pull his loved ones to death, and he returns to reality with blood-stained hands. On their first outing, Chihiro wields so much power, and the Force removes all the barriers surrounding the targeted part of the city. At the base of the Chaos Clan, Yuri and Jun report to their master, requesting more hands. He declines their offer, and they leave the base to supply help in their own way. Chihiro and the other heroic descendants return to the church after the mission. Chihiro is drained and too weak to stand, and Kotsu supports him to his room to rest. However, Chihiro cannot rest as his head is filled with memories of blood and people. On their second mission, more fighters and defenders from the heroic lineage and the Chaos Clan join the fight. Chihiro goes against Jun and strikes him multiple times as Jun taunts him. Chihiro heads for a barrier and hits it repeatedly, and it explodes into the air in a burst of light. Chihiro finds himself in an unknown place covered with white fog and void of people except for Yuri. He desperately searches for a way to leave the place to return to his mission. Yuri challenges his resolve to destroy the city because of the future and tells him to remember how innocent lives will be lost. Chihiro retorts that she is no better than him since she uses humans as gates to release monsters into the world. As they went back and forth, she pleaded with him to let them stay in that place rather than return to the world and build a peaceful life for themselves. Yuri shows him the entrance to the real world, and they combine their powers to break it. Chihiro falls down in exhaustion afterwards. As Yuri leaves, she makes a statement about Chihiro's mother, which troubles him greatly. The other descendants of the heroic lineage cannot connect with Chihiro anymore, which slows down their performance. Chihiro emerges into the real world and tells everyone to fall back, and they comply. One of Jun's men attempts to follow them, but Jun calls him back because he worries about Yuri and searches for her. At the Maldeus church premises, the others question Chihiro about his disappearance during the mission, but he requests to be left alone. They all gather to give the details of their mission to Shoka, another member of the church. She informs them that Kotsu fought a member of the Guardian State, a group that has been protecting the city for a long time. Again, Chihiro is asked about his disappearance, but he does not know what happened. As the discussion around him continued, Chihiro zoned out from the meeting and concentrated on Yuri's statement about his mother. Later, Chihiro confides in Inuki, a physician and member of the heroic blood lineage, about Yuri's statement. Chihiro tells him he has no memories of his childhood and even his mother, and begs Inuki to tell him if he knows anything. Inuki leads him to Kakahara to explain to Chihiro. Kakahara tells Chihiro that his mother was responsible for an explosion at the Aval Science Research Facility 10 years ago. But a body was never found. Instead, it was declared missing. Kakahara accuses Chihiro of killing his parents and pretending to have amnesia, but Chihiro cannot understand him. Marie from the Guardian State seeks Chihiro out to ask him questions about Jun, as an ongoing investigation finds him guilty of multiple murders around the city. Chihiro tells Marie that he does not know Jun's whereabouts, but Kaitsu volunteers to help with the search. In the streets, a member of the Guardian State is attacked by a beast, and Chihiro rushes there to help her. Chihiro had a dream that Inuki had died. He called the research laboratory to ask about Inuki, but Inuki was unavailable. Chihiro calls other members of the heroic lineage to tell them that Inuki might be in danger, but nobody listens to him. Chihiro resolves to find Inuki and moves from place to place, searching for Inuki. Chihiro goes back to the Maldeus church in search of answers. There, Kakahara reveals to everyone that Inuki leaked their strategy to Jun, which made their last mission unsuccessful. Jun and Inuki were raised in the orphanage owned by Aval, where Chihiro's mother worked long ago. Inuki leaked the strategy to protect the orphanage from getting destroyed during their mission to protect the children at the orphanage. Chihiro learns that Inuki and a few others were discarded from the orphanage due to the fact that they had been failed experiments in their research, and the effect has been threatening to consume Inuki. Jun organizes the city gang to help search for Inuki, and Chihiro resolves that he must save Inuki from getting destroyed. Jun locates Inuki and tries to bring him back to himself, without success. Inuki begs Jun to kill him so that he will die as the brother that Jun knows, because he is running out of time. But Jun cannot do so. Chihiro arrives as Inuki turns into a monster, and Chihiro fights the beast to return Inuki to being human. But it is too late. Inuki begs Chihiro to save the others and create a better future as he crumbles into a red stone. Chihiro returns Inuki's remains, the red stone, to the laboratory. When descendants of the heroic lineage die, they simply crumble into a shiny red stone. Like Inuki, Dux appears with another instruction to destroy the city soon. She tells the heroic lineage member from beyond that only one member of the heroic lineage will remain after conquering the city. The person is to become the Lord of Vermilion, who will be the ruler of the new world. Jun blames Inuki's death on Chihiro and promises to bring despair upon Chihiro for the loss of his brother, Inuki. At the Chaos Clan meeting, the members propose that they attack the lineage of heroic blood and kill its members now that they are all weak. Their leader, Yuri's father, agrees and sends them on the mission. Yuri follows the group half-heartedly, and Jun stops her from following because her personal feelings for Chihiro will come their way. Chihiro hangs out at his childhood spot as he remembers his mother and Inuki. Yuri joins him and helps him to remember the past. They played together at Aval while their parents worked on experiments as children. After a failed one, Chihiro's mother vanished into another world, and since then, her father has ceaselessly tried to use the city to open gates to other worlds. Chihiro dreamt that Kaiju had died and went in search of him. Jun attacks them with a member of the Chaos Clan and tries to pierce Kaiju's heart. He overpowers Chihiro, who is desperately trying to save Kaiju. Yuri appears and stops Jun's attack, making her go against her father's people, and Jun retreats from the attack. Chihiro asks her to come with him since she has nowhere to go. Chihiro requests a meeting at a neutral spot with members of the Guardian State and the heroic lineage. He proposes that they work together, but the members of the Guardian State mock his reasoning. Without waiting to hear his explanation, an argument ensues about each group's beliefs, and Marie tells everyone to stop. She tells Chihiro to explain his idea, and he presents Yuri to everyone. Yuri believes that fate can be changed. Kotsu died in Chihiro's dreams, but she averted real-life death by saving him. This example did not convince the members of the Guardian State or the heroic lineage in any way, as they consider Yuri's intentions suspicious. Chihiro tries to convince everyone that Yuri is not a trap from the Chaos Clan, but only Marie believes him. The Malleus Church is trying to destroy the city as it is the breeding ground for humans, serving as gates for the monsters to enter the world. And the Chaos Clan wants to destroy the heroic lineage so their plans can continue. Chihiro proposes that the heroic lineage should simply try to live without destroying the city, and together they will stop the Chaos Group's plans. After the meeting, Marie shows proof to Kakahara that Chihiro is not responsible for his father's death, but he remains adamant. Chihiro dreams that Marie is killed, but before he could do anything, it was already late as she returned from her surveillance of Aval, wounded. She turns into a red stone at the hands of Kakahara, and everyone blames Chihiro for trusting Yuri. Yuri's father comes to take her away, and she follows him home against Chihiro's protests, where he flogs her for betraying their clan. Members of the Guardian State are livid at Chihiro for making them lose Marie, who was a very valuable fighter to Yuri's deceitfulness. They refuse to hear any of Chihiro's explanations and leave without collecting Marie's red stone. The Aval facility is working round the clock to make the Second Great Collapse a reality. For this, they create artificial barriers to execute their plans. At the Malleus Church, Kakahara and the heroic lineage members verbally attack Chihiro. They refer to him as foolish for befriending and believing in an agent of chaos. Kakahara blames him for their ruined alliance with the Guardian State and taunts Chihiro about the people that have died at his hands. Inuki's assistant takes Marie's red stone and joins it with Inkyui's own as she tries to find an alternative solution for them by continuing Inuki's experiment. Before Marie died, she handed over her phone, containing information she gathered from her surveillance of the Aval facility. Kakahara takes the information and promises to avenge Marie regardless of whatever it takes. Chihiro follows him, but Kakahara rebukes Chihiro as he considers him bad luck. Chihiro tells Kakahara that he dreamt of his death. Tsubasa promises to protect him on the mission to avenge Marie. Chihiro pleads with Kakahara to put his hate aside and allow him to tag along, and Kakahara grudgingly agrees. That night, Kakahara converses with Chihiro and tells him why he resents him so much. Kakahara's parents died in a car crash, leaving him behind, though he would have wanted an opportunity to die with them. He resented Chihiro for not taking the chance to die with his father. But now, his perception has changed as he believes that Chihiro lived for a reason. They were attacked by agents of chaos during their surveillance of the facility. The attacker surpassed Tsubasa's strength and kept Chihiro in a spell. He leaves Kakahara with a deep stab wound. Kakahara dies, telling Chihiro that he did not kill his father and to live their collective dreams. The master of the Chaos Clan invites Kark, a pianist who uses musical spells, to perform at the opening of the city hall constructed by Aval. This is no ordinary performance, as the day is billed to be the release of the mist for the Second Great Collapse. Kark is to cast a spell on the audience as their leverage if Chihiro and his people attempt to ruin their plans. Two members of the Guardian State join Chihiro to fulfill his plan of changing their city's fate to prevent the death of more citizens. Dux shows them the barriers created by the Chaos lineage and warns that their plans will fail if the last dot connects with the remaining barriers, and their chance of survival will be zero. Chihiro revises the plan with everyone, and through Marie's last message and Kakahara's research, they find out that the barrier is at the city hall. Chihiro tells everyone that instead of risking the lives of many if they can murder Kark before his performance, the evil planned by the Chaos Clan will not come to pass. Chihiro and his team descend to the venue, but Kark sees them from the sky and sends monsters to distract them. In quick moves, they slash the monsters from their way and proceed. Jun leaves guard duty to fight Chihiro and receives a severe beating from Chihiro. Kark casts spells on Chihiro, but he avoids them and fights back. Chihiro proclaims that if staining his hands with blood will gain him the position of Lord of Vermilion, he will do it regardless of the consequences, and intensifies his efforts. Yuri is glad that Chihiro and his team were able to stop the second great collapse from taking place, but her father rebukes her, telling her that the real war has just begun. He tells Yuri and his team that it is time to go into a new world and take the city with them. He tries to convince Yuri that evil has possessed Chihiro because he killed all the citizens in the city hall, Jun and another Chaos agent. Yuri refuses to believe all he says about Chihiro, and they provide a video of Chihiro in action. At the Maldeus church, everyone praises Chihiro for fighting bravely. Chihiro's praises displease Shoka, who thinks she deserves the praise since her duty was to stop the instrument of the Great Collapse, which she did. When everyone leaves, she secretly plots to kill the remaining heroic blood lineage to remain the candidate for the Lord of Vermilion position. Yuri's father instructs his scientists to put the plan for going into the other world in motion since nothing else matters, but going to join Chihiro's mother in the other world. Meanwhile, Yuri meets Chihiro at their childhood hangout and tries to convince him to leave the fighting and retire to a peaceful place with her. Chihiro refuses due to his vow to Inuki and Kakahara, and she attempts to force him. Surdid attacks Yuri for always trying to distract Chihiro. While he begs them to stop, Yuri's weapon pierces Surdid, killing her. In Aval, the destruction plan has already begun. Chihiro joins the other heroic blood members alive, and they start their mission. Red mist from Aval's false barrier begins to fill up the whole city, and Kark plays his piano to release spells upon the land. Chihiro faces off against Kark and tells everyone else to proceed to Aval to stop the process. Kark sends a monster to kill Chihiro, and it pierces Chihiro's heart. As he falls to his death, he sees ducks with several mirrors reflecting his memories. Chihiro powerfully summons his will, and all his dead loved ones circle him in a unified chant to live. Chihiro returns to life, more determined to stop the destruction of the city. Inuki's assistant proceeds to Aval's laboratory alone, where the scientist and Yuri's father launch the attack. Meanwhile, Kotsu and the others are cornered by monsters with no way to proceed. At the laboratory, the scientist turns against her master, telling him that he only pretends to love them for selfish reasons. Yuri's father refuses to hear her, but she continues. She tells him that Chihiro's mother never loved him, but he lived in the illusion that she did, and if he goes to the other world, he will not see her. Yuri's father runs out, and Inuki's assistant attacks the scientist. Chihiro kills Kark. The Aval plan failed, but the world is still in danger as the gate to the other world is still open, and only Chihiro is eligible to close it. Dux tells Chihiro that there is still hope if only he can erase the gate to the other world. Chihiro approaches his target, but Yuri stands in his way. Chihiro held her hand to reassure her that he would retreat from the fight and live. Just then, Chihiro let her go and rushed to the gate. As he disappears, he begs her to live for him and herself. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't out on another video. And until next time guys, take care.